Good afternoon, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another edition of full-size Ford, although today it's going to be more mid-size Ford, or let's say personal luxury Ford. Today we're going to be working on a 1993 Thunderbird LX 5.0 on the MN12 platform. I know it's not a Galaxy, it's not a full-size car, but we've got a few of these too. There'll be more Galaxy stuff, big Mercs, stuff like that to come. But today we've got a pretty bad oil leak with this thing, and we're going to replace a pan gasket, which is going to involve dropping the subframe. So let's get started. So we've got the high output 5 liter in this one. And you thought this motor only came in the Fox Body Mustang and a couple years of the SN95. Wrong! Available in the 91 to 93 T-Bird and Mercury Cougar. This car's close cousin. Rated at slightly less horsepower than the Mustang. Doesn't have quite the seat of the pants feel as the Mustang does, because this is quite a bit heavier car. Again, personal luxury car. But this one's got a bad oil pan gasket, and it is absolutely puking oil out of the passenger side of the engine. So replacing the pan gasket's going to involve dropping the subframe. So we're going to have to support the engine from the top and then drop that subframe from the bottom. So debuting a new tool tonight. This is how we hope to achieve to keep the engine supported while we drop the subframe to access this oil pan. So got this off that Brazilian rainforest website thingy, and there are similar of them. I think they all come from China. And we will, all the reviews, all the stuff I could find, people were using these on 4-cylinder cars. It says it has a 1,100 pound capacity. So hopefully it'll support our 5 liter 302. We're gonna find out. Those in the know on the MN12, fan blades, gotta love them. So it's gonna be really hard to see in there, but basically the oil pan gasket is on this passenger side rail. I'm gonna try to get some light up in there, but all the lines are in the way. Is basically completely outside of the engine, which explains why this thing is leaving oil everywhere I park it. Alright, so step one we did was pull this steering shaft off of the rack and pinion unit, because we're going to need that to drop down. And next, I don't know that we're going to have to completely remove this subframe. I'm hoping not. It'd be easier if we don't. But you can see up in there where the motor mount brackets are on both sides. It's kind of hidden by hoses and wires and stuff, but these I've separated the cross member from those engine mount brackets, so hopefully the engine will stay where it's at. Alright, so we've got all the bolts out of the cross member. You're going to have these kind of bolts here. There's 4 of these per side. They're in inverted Torx. They're in E18. If you're looking for the bolt size, you just want to buy 1 socket. So what we've done is we're going to hope that we can just pull. We've got the steering shaft disconnected, all the bolts out of the cross member. We've taken the lower strut bolts out right here, and we're hoping we can just drop this whole subframe with the suspension down far enough to clear to get the oil pan out, so we don't have to disconnect all the suspension, because I really don't want to realign this car tonight. You can see you've got adjustment cams for the alignment right here. And then you've also got some caster adjustment on these here. There's a nut on both sides of these, on that big, on that strut rod. So we're trying not to mess with any of that, so we don't have to realign the car when we're done. We'll see how it goes. So answer to the question, can you get the oil pan out without fully dropping the cross member out of the car? And the answer is yes. It wasn't easy, but we got it done. You can see the crank and everything there. If we get over here, we can see our You can see that where that gasket failed at. Let's get you up in here. You can see the spot where that gasket's just all coming apart, and so we'll get all this cleaned up. We're also working on, we've got the motor mounts out, and we have some, these are, I don't know if these are still the stock mounts in the car. I'm assuming they probably are, but from Super Coupe Performance in Ohio, Bill Evanoff can hook you up with these. This is a solid rubber mount here. So we're going to go ahead and install these in the car while we've got the pan down this far. All right, so you can see we've got the pan going back in now. Basically, you have these rails that go alongside the pan. See, they're even stamped 5.0 liter. You can see it there. All the glare makes it tough. Right there. Right there. That 5.0 liter stamping does add an extra 17 horsepower. So, these new Perma-Dry Felpro gaskets, got these 4, they call snap-ups. You can screw them in there and then snap your pan up on them. And plus you can snap your gasket, then your pan and your ring. We did put some silicone just in the corners right next to here, and then where the front block plate goes on, we put a little RTV in those spots right there just to help seal those corners. And now we just got to put this, put all the bolts back in the pan, torque it up, change our engine mounts out to the ones we got from Super Coupe Performance, and then we can start bolting our crossmember back up. All right, so the pan is back in the car. We have torqued the bolts to 6 to 9 foot-pounds, or it ends up being about 108 inch-pounds, if that's what kind of torque range you have better. I like these Felpro Perma-Dry gaskets. So now basically we've just got to finish up these engine mounts here, and then we can start putting this crossmember back in, getting buttoned up, and hopefully drive this thing home. So on these new mounts from Super Coupe Performance, one thing it will tell you in the instructions, make sure you do, is they will have this little tab right here. It's probably gonna be hot. On the that will stick on the bottom of this stud. On the passenger side, you need to cut this off. And so we've our handy dandy cutoff tool. Got that cut off, so now we can get this one bolted to the bracket and get this one back up in the car, change the driver's side, and we're off to the races. All right, so you can see we got the cradle back up in the car. We basically just used one of these little screw type jacks there. These things are super handy. Of course, it really helps having a hoist to do this job. We contemplated doing this at home in the driveway, and really glad we didn't, because it's really saves a lot of time if you can walk underneath the car. So basically just used this jack to put the cross member back up in there. You basically just got to reattach these lines to the cross member and torque these E18 bolts right here to the subframe. Cole's looking up the torque spec for that right now. Got to hook up the steering shaft, put the wheels back on, fill it with oil, and should be ready to drive this thing out of here. Hopefully holding oil. All right, so we are back on the ground. Our engine hoist, holder upper thingy off that Brazilian rainforest site thing. Again, there are several different brands of these, and they all looked about the same and looked like they were all ranged from 1,000 to 1,100 pound capacity. I chose this one because it was 1,100 pounds and I wanted that extra 100 pounds. All we have left to do is fill this thing up with oil. Everything is torqued, and we are ready to roll on home. All right, got her topped off with oil. Do the fire up, and we can recheck it. If it doesn't start, I'm gonna cry. Feel the power. So she's running. Let's just hope she's not leaking. Run for a second. You showing oil pressure? Oil pressure good? All right. The old 5.0 is running again. All right, well, we're just going to double check this oil. We're going to back this out of here. It's probably after 1 in the morning already. And we're going to go home and get some sleep. And we thank you for watching. If you have any questions about tools used, or wasn't a lot of really basically a 21, 18 millimeter, 15 millimeter, just a few half inchers under there, some 3/8 on the oil pan, and really wasn't a lot of some 5/16 on some of those lines on the bracket, and then plus those E18 torques. Other than that, there really wasn't a lot of tools that we needed. That crossbar on the engine worked really well to keep the engine supported while we dropped that subframe down. And again, we'll check the alignment eventually just to make sure nothing shifted, but I think everything will be okay. The drive home will tell us. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like more of this content on these Ford vehicles, make sure like and subscribe, share. Appreciate your support. Thank you, and have a good night.